messing around.
Roomies. It is a loft meeting. Pew, 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 pew. Loft meeting, y'all. Loft meeting. Holy smokes. I'm wearing my, mess around merch sweater and was not paying attention. This is my favorite one. You can get yours at the messaround pod.com. Lamorne and I designed these. It's my favorite one. I wear it all the time, and I somehow splashed something all over it this morning. I can't even tell you what, and I've got all these stains all over it. So that's my afternoon. Trying to save a sweater. Oh, you guys, how are you doing? I used to be a VJ on Much Music, Canada's MTV, before Canada got MTV. And we would do these like live video flows, and it was really cool because people could call in, fax in. If you don't know what a fax is, Google it. Email in, and it was so interactive and fun. My favorite thing to ever do, and we got to do it live. And doing these loft meetings remind me of that. And I love it so much. So thank you for sending in all your questions. Please remember, you can send me in like voice notes. I love to hear people's voices. I really do. So you can send me in those as well. And Lamorne and I will hear them and hear your voices. You could also send in videos if that feels good to you. And we will play them so everybody can see your faces. So you can always send that in. Hold up. Let me get our email for you at themessaroundpod@gmail.com. Okay? Do that so we can see y'all. That'd be nice. We have a bunch of emails today. I will get through them and try my very best to answer them. All right. Okay. So we are talking about a lot of, I think, stuff around Prince because we just did a 2-parter Prince episode. We had so much to say. Our beloved Damon Wayans Jr. was on the show. And shared so much stuff about what it was like to make that amazing Prince episode, aka the Super Bowl episode, aka iconic TV history, that we had to break it into a 2-parter. And it was really, really nice, as I've shared on those recap episodes through that show and getting to meet each other. Prince and I became really good friends and kind of like lifelong pen pals. It was really, really a wonderful friendship, and it was really cool to be able to go back through all of our like correspondence and funny things we wrote to each other. And he was a really really lovely friend. So funny, you never meet somebody, you know of them, and then you meet, and it's funny to see what relationships come from it. But he was like a brother. Really nice. All right, so let's kick off your questions. Prince episode question. Bam. Hey, Hannah and Lamorne. My name is Juhi, and I'm a huge New Girl fan. I've been watching since the show first aired. New Girl is my comfort show, and I've seen each episode countless times. I'm currently rewatching the show with my roommate who hasn't seen it yet. It's been so fun to see his reactions to the major plot points and classic one-liners on the show. It's so funny. I make people rewatch my favorite shows. One of my favorite shows of all time is Fawlty Towers. Very old British show that John Cleese did. He did it with his wife, Prunella Scales. And it's such a... Am I saying that? Was it right? Prunella Scales, or is it Connie Booth? I realize I'm saying this out loud. Hold on. Because both women were in the show. Connie Booth, John Cleese. This is how you guys know we record live. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, exactly. Booth, Connie Booth. Prunella Scales played his wife. Connie Booth was John Cleese's wife, and they created the show called Fawlty Towers. They only did 13 episodes. Some of it doesn't age great, but the rest of it is just the most classic, funny show ever. And the problem is when I make my friends rewatch the show is that I'm like this the whole time. Just like watching their faces. So I don't know if you're like that, Juhi, as you're with your roommate right now, if you're actually both like sitting shoulder to shoulder watching it, or if you're just like side-eyeing them the whole time watching them, being like, are you laughing? Do you get it? Do you get how funny this is? Do you get how great this is? Okay, sorry, back to your question. I absolutely loved the Prince episode and remember that it aired right after the Super Bowl. Do you have any fun stories for promoting this episode? I want to say some of the cast made an appearance at the Super Bowl. I'd love to hear what you remember. Also, as a fun side note, I played fantasy football for the first time this year and named my team the Mess Around after the podcast. What? Get out of town. I was ranked first for most of the season, but ended up placing third as the only gal in a league full of dudes. I'm pretty proud of my team. I always look forward to your episodes each week. Thanks for bringing such insight and joy to the fans of New Girl. Lots of love, Juhi. Well, that is so flattering. Every time I hear someone like has named like their pet or something after us, or a kid, a whole human kid, or a fantasy football team after the podcast, that's so cool. In promoting the episode, I'm going to be real. I don't think it needed a lot of promotion. They cut together the trailer and it aired all over Fox, right? The trailer, and it had Prince, and it just was like Prince after the Super Bowl, not playing the Super Bowl, after the Super Bowl, in a ridiculous comedy called New Girl. So I don't think the cast were needed so much to go out and promote it because Prince came along and made that, I am sure, our most successful episode ever. I don't know that as a fact, but I think it's a pretty safe guess. Did we go to the Super Bowl? That's such a good question. You know, it's funny. I remember as a cast, we went to the World Series. Fox had the World Series, and Zoe sang. And we all were, it was really crazy. We shot all week, these crazy hours, got on a plane, flew there. And we had to really almost turn around and come right back. This was from the World Series. It was in Texas, I think. You know, she sang, we almost turn around and all of us come back. And they gave us these incredible seats, I feel like behind home plate or something. And there's a lot of huge baseball enthusiasts in the cast. And it was horrible because they pulled us from our seats at one, like we sat down for maybe 10 minutes, pulled us from our seats, yanked us up to like this private booth where we had to like shake hands and say hi to everybody, and then ran us off on the plane back. I think before the game was even over, and we were super bummed. But then the broadcasters did a cutaway shot to our seats being like, and the cast of New Girls here at the World Series. And we weren't there. So it looked like we didn't care about the game or the teams or want to be there. And we kind of, I think, got in like, people said a lot of unkind stuff about us, and it wasn't our fault. And we were so sad. We had the best seats and we just wanted to sit there and eat a hot dog and watch the game. And it was so surreal, but we had a job to do. We had to go back and make more of the show, but that's not what the broadcaster said at the time. But the Super Bowl, I've been to a couple Super Bowls in my life. So long ago, I actually don't know if we went to this one all together. I can't remember going to the Super Bowl as a cast. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no with like an asterisk. I need to like phone a friend. All right. Well, thanks for rewatching the show so many times. I'm so grateful our show is like a comfort show you can put on. That's so nice. All right. Our second question. It says, more New Girl cats. Ooh, you know I'm going to love this. Hi, Hannah and Lamorne. My name is Melanie, and I'm a middle school health teacher in New York. Love a teacher. Love a teacher. I've been a huge fan of the show for years. Like many other fans, it's my comfort show. I've lost count of how many times I've watched all 7 seasons. I have a few things I wanted to share with you and how New Girl is a part of my life. Oh. 1, as a middle school health teacher, I have to teach about the reproductive systems. Before labeling the diagrams, I show the short scene of Jess not being able to say the word penis to Nick in season 1. And it definitely helps break the ice with my kids. Oh my gosh. Zoe would love that so much. That is so great. How crazy that a fake teacher on TV having a human moment is now helping a real teacher in real life have a human moment with her students. I love that. That's such a beautiful full circle thing. Burnish. 2, between me and my family, we have 3 cats, all with New Girl related names. Oh my God, I didn't know this question was coming. I just said I love when people name their cats after us. This is the best day ever. Pictures attached. Oh, pictures. Oh my God. Sorry. I get excited. First, When I bought my first home, I was getting lonely and decided to adopt a cat. I know that feeling. I named him Winston, black and white. Oh, that makes me happy. I just want to say I've had the cat I had the longest in my life, Jake. By the way, had Jake way longer before I met Jake Johnson. Was a tuxedo cat. I love black and white cats. Okay. I named him Winston. About a year later, my sister moved in with me and she adopted her cat, which we named Allie. Oh, Nassim would love that. A brown calico. She's also polydactyl and has extra thumbs. I think if you go to my Instagram, you'll see that I had a cat called Frank, and he was the runt of the litter. And they said he was going to die. He was about 400 grams. He was really, really tiny. I could put him in a cup, like a puppy in a cup. It was a kitten in a cup. And he ended up surviving and living a very beautiful, sweet 13 years. But because he was starved as a little infant kitty, he was blind. And then when they gave him like a shot or had to do something, they shaved his belly and shaved up his nipples. Like the person who was the vet tech was not very careful with my baby Frank. And so he had only one nipple, I think. And he was blind and he was super tiny. We called him the perma kitten because he never grew past like this teeny thing. My little Frank. And then he became severely asthmatic. It was also just something that he was kind of had from being neglected as a tiny baby before I got him. So he had a little inhaler. It was the sweetest thing in the world. I love little special animals like that. They're so sweet. Okay, sorry. Back to your question. Hannah, in a previous Mess Around episode, you mentioned that no one has their pet named after you. That's true. I've never heard someone with a cat named Cece. Well, you'll be happy to, I'm going to cry. Will you be happy to know that my mom rescued a cat about a year ago and she named her Cece, a brown and orange calico. What? Well, thanks, Mom. That's so sweet. I've only ever had one calico cat, a brown and orange cat that my uncle actually rescued off the streets of Cyprus, the little Greek island Cyprus, not Cyprus, California, and brought this cat home. And we tried to name this cat all sorts of cute names. And the cat was not here for these cute names and would only come if you went, pss, 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 pss. Then the cat would come, would not respond to any other name. So the cat's name ended up being Miss Pss. Everyone's like, what's the name of the cat? We're like, Miss Pss. They'd go, pss, pss, and then the cat would come. Cece's a great name, though. Oh, I don't know why that makes me emotional. That's so sweet. I also had a question. I've noticed the Seneca Lake picture on the fridge in the loft. Also, there are references to Syracuse and SUNY Binghamton in the show. I hope I'm saying that right. Is there someone in the crew who's from the central New York area by chance? I just always thought it was cool to see pieces of home in my favorite show. Love you for this podcast. I look forward to it every week. Melanie, you have made my day in so many ways. Holy smokes. Liz, am I wrong? Am I wrong, Liz? Holy smokes. I feel like Liz Merriweather, that's where she's from. I think it's probably a call out and a reference to that. That would be my best educated guess. Is that Liz? That's a Liz thing. To do a little hometown shout out. Oh, now I just scrolled and saw the pictures of the cats. Oh, they're so cute and fluffy. Oh my gosh. We'll put these up. We'll share these so you guys can see these cute little kitties. Winston and Allie and Cece. All right. Okay. Number 3, MN Prince fan. Hi, Hannah, Lamorne, and Damon. It's just me. Hi. Love the podcast and getting an inside look and background stories to go with my favorite show. Like many others, the Prince episode is one of the most memorable for me. I'm from, I assume it means Minnesota. MN? Minnesota? Sorry, Canadian. And always wanted to be one of the lucky people who got to witness a surprise Prince pop-up show. Did he do those? I guess he did because he told me about them. Now that I think about it. I don't know them from like seeing them or seeing them or someone telling me about him, but I think Prince told me. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Did he play more than what was shown on the show? I always hoped he played a whole set for you guys. Also, what's your favorite Prince song? Raspberry Beret is mine. Unrelated to this episode, do you guys ever look up your characters' best quotes on Reddit? It's one of my favorite pastimes. Hilarious. This is America. Wear pants. Thanks, Christine Rasmussen. Ooh. So did he play more than what was shown on the show? We kind of answered this question last week, and Lamorne was very unserious and instead just told you, like, I think a fantasy dream sequence he had of Prince serenading him. No, I think it was just that one song. You know, it's kind of like a fever dream, that episode. And so it was really fun to recap it with Damon and Lamorne, because we shot from Monday morning all the way until like late Saturday morning, which for anyone who knows the industry, that's because, you know, we would shoot the maximum amount of hours, then go into overtime, and then people get like a turnaround so they can go home, sleep for 5 minutes, and come back. And that just keeps pushing your start time the next day. And you try to keep it consistent so that people can, you know, be able to sleep and eat and go home and everything. But it starts to, on big shoots, those things kind of start to, you know, snowball a little bit. And so by the time we finish the episode, Saturday morning, usually finish Friday afternoon, like late Saturday morning is when I got home. It's so hard to keep everything straight. And it was also the most surreal episode. We have like huge guest stars were there, you know, big, huge, fancy models were there from Victoria's Secrets, and Clayton Kershaw was there, you know, like an LA hero. And we had Prince and his whole crew, and everybody from the studio and the network was there because it was such a big episode. And so there was so much going on and so many people. And then you're at a Prince concert, like it's still Prince singing, like a real Prince concert. And we had to go up on stage and dance and do all this stuff. And it's hard to really remember, but as far as I know and remember, it was just that song. I do know there was a joke in the original script where Nick Miller is the biggest Prince fan, but has all the lyrics wrong. And his favorite song is Raspberry Parade. And nobody corrects him. Yeah, I think I answered all your questions. That's right. What's my favorite Prince song? I think we have the same one. I think that's one of my favorite ones. I mean, I will say, I think my favorite Prince song is Nothing Compares to You, because he wrote that song. Sinead O'Connor sang it and made it famous. But he wrote that song. And like I said earlier, I used to be a VJ on Much Music. And what I learned with working with a bunch of music people is that this is not a hard rule, but most people either, when they listen to something, initially respond to and connect with either melody or with lyrics. And I realized as a music journalist that I connected with the lyrics. So back then I would get the CD and you'd pull like the sleeve out, and most of the times all the lyrics were in there. And so I would read it. I studied poetry in university. My dad's a poet. And so I would sit there and read it. And Nothing Compares to You, I think, is one of the most beautifully written stories. And that was Prince. So that's probably one of my favorite Prince songs. But Prince songs he sang, I mean, there's so many. But, you know, you can't not dance if you hear Raspberry Beret. All right, here we go. Love from the UK. I don't know if you guys know this, but that's where I was born. I was born just outside of London. Little UK girl. Hi, Hannah. I've been waiting for this one. This episode is the best. I just wanted to say thank you to you and Lamorne for creating such a safe space where we can all come together and just enjoy the wonder that is New Girl. It always provides me warmth in the times that life feels cold, and something I will be forever grateful for. So thank you to all of you again. That's nice. Thanks. I've seen this episode so many times. The fact that Prince, the legend himself, is in it is just so cool. The scene between Schmidt and Cece, where Cece helps Schmidt hide from the bouncer, makes me melt every single time without fail. And it's probably one of my favorite scenes between them. And I've always imagined that Cece gives the best hugs ever. I was wondering if Cece and Schmidt had a duo/couple name, what would it be? If they were a superhero pair, what would they be like? Thank you again for your time and much love from the UK. You guys are awesome. Ooh, okay. I will say I am such a hugger, and I think I do give good hugs. I feel like it was like that old, I don't know, something I read, some like old, not cliche, but like piece of advice that kind of went around, which is like if someone you know, like you love or care for, gives you a hug, or like if a kid gives you a hug, don't be the first to let go. You know, I think that's like a Disney rule, right? Like I feel like with the Disney princesses, if a little kid comes, gives them a hug, they're not allowed to be the first to let go because it's so powerful for those kids because they think those princesses are real. And maybe not just princesses, like Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse and all of them. So that's kind of like my MO too. Like if you're here for the hug, I'm here for you too. So by proxy, Cece gives pretty good hugs. So you're right on that. The duo couple name, I think we were called it a lot, which is Schmeesy. It's a funny one. I think Schmeesy was the name that everybody kind of stuck with, which I thought was kind of cute, actually. That was a sweet little, people be like, we ship Schmeesy. That would be all over the place. So that, I guess, was our couple name. And if we were a superhero pair, who would we be? Confession, I am not a big superhero person. I don't know those worlds very well. Are Elphaba and Glinda superheroes? Sorry, I just watched Wicked and I loved it so much. Superhero. I mean, I would have to say, just because I think that Schmidt would love this so much, I feel like there's a bit of a Superman, Lois Lane kind of vibe going there. Maybe. I feel like Schmidt would love to see himself just with the removal of the glasses would delight him. Just the flick of the wrist would make him very happy. And the smart, crisp, white-collared shirt, I think he'd dig it. I don't think he'd like the phone booth. He's a bit of a germaphobe. Maybe. And I feel like Cece's actually pretty smart. I think she'd do pretty well. Working at the newspaper. Lois Lane worked at the newspaper too, right? I think so. Yeah, that would be my guess. I wonder, I feel like, so my dearest friend, Wendy, she helps us with all of our social. Go to the Mess Around Pod on IG or TikTok. And if you want to see all the fun, cool stuff that we share, she just texted me a couple extra questions. So let's see all about Prance. Okay, so one of them here from Kristen Risberg is, were there other versions of Jake Johnson's scream? I die every time I watch this episode. Hysterical. You know, it's funny. I wasn't there when they did it. It is one of my favorite things ever, though, is that scream and the faint. And I realized that when I rewatched the episode, there's two faintings, right? Because you have Jess who faints, trying to say, I love you. And then you have Jake that faints at the sight of Prince because he loves him. And I was like, man, how often can you fit two faints into an episode and make it funny and not have it be connected or referenced in the episode? Because they're both equally merited that when you watch it, you're just like, yeah, makes sense. We don't have to talk about it or make it make sense or connect as jokes. Like the writers didn't have to be like, and we just keep fainting all over this episode. Because they're both individual moments that make sense why you would faint. But I don't know about the scream, but knowing Jake Johnson, I'm sure he had a few screams. And I'm sure there were a few takes where he didn't faint. But somehow they picked the perfect scream and faint. It is iconic. Okay, let me do maybe one more for my friend Wendy. Okay, here we go. Were the finger guns scripted? Also, hi, I love you both. Thank you for committing to this podcast. You make my days better. From Brooke Perez. They were. I went back and read every version of the script. So we have the table draft. So that's like the first draft. And then the studio gives notes, network notes, and all sorts of things. And there was version after version after version. And I talked about this on the recap episode that there wasn't a lot of changes. And I think because of the pressure on this episode, they just, they had to have it kind of locked in, dialed in pretty tight from the beginning. But Finger Guns was there. That was the whole premise. If someone said, I love you, and she just went back, and what a nightmare of a response that would be. Because are you saying it? Are you not saying it? Are you panicking it? Like the greatest like spiral of the brain ever. I think we talked about it a little bit of like the worst thing that you could do. Maybe we didn't. Lamorne and I should talk about that though. Someone saying, I love you, and then what would you say or do? That would be my greatest nightmare, if I'm being really honest, because I would never want someone to like be vulnerable and say something, and for me then to like not make them feel safe. But I'm many things, but I'm not a liar. So that would be really tricky to get out of. I don't know. Maybe that's why I spend so much time with cats. Okay, last question comes from Allie's Insta 13. Did any of the cast end up taking the blue grapes when the show wrapped? I feel like I thought, and I think I've asked him this before, I thought Damon took them just because, of course, with the maturity with those boys, there was always a joke almost every day about the blue balls on set. These blue glass grapes. We'll put a picture up of those so you guys, though you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll see immediately why the boys thought it was hilarious. And then I feel like I found out Damon didn't take them. And then I thought Lamorne did. And I feel like no one took them, which is kind of surprising considering how often as a cast they were mocked and laughed at and gave us such joy. And then that the fans saw it and recognized it too. I feel like that's the case. I'll double check that too. I'll phone a friend on that too. But I think that was the case. All right, you guys. This has been great. I love these loft meetings so much. Please keep sending in your questions, your comments, your stories, your experiences with the show. I want to hear them all. Send in photos, videos, voice memos. I want to see you. I want to hear you. I want to know about your life. I feel like that's one of the coolest things about New Girl is that as we often meet in real life on the street, walking around, everybody shares so much. And I'm so grateful for this podcast because we get to share back too and get to know you guys more. So thank you for showing up and thank you for listening to this podcast. And I am really grateful that, it's so funny when we started this podcast, of course, we talked about this Prince episode a lot. And it felt so far away. It's halfway through season 3. It's like, I don't know, episode 62 or something crazy. And so we've had to record 62 recaps or something like that, plus these loft meetings. And we were just waiting to be able to do the Prince episode. And it was so cool that our best friend, Damon Wayans Jr., made it work because he's, of course, recording his phenomenal new sitcom on CBS, that he found time to come and join us and to share. So I encourage you to go back, re-listen to the recaps. We share a bunch of stuff that we have never shared before, and keep sending in those questions. We will all hang out with you at the next loft meeting. Season 3 questions. Also, you know what? We keep talking about fan theories. Do you have any really good fan theories that you would like to share with us, and we can deep dive and figure them out if they're true or not? Please don't talk about the bear, because as you know, that's a very sensitive spot. But as you know, at the end of this season, I am going to do a big bear recapped loft meeting, and I do need your help. P.S. So please, you're listening right now. Season 3, if you could just find a bear in every single episode for me so that I can not have Lamorne laugh at me. That would be so great and so cool. All right, you guys. So let's go to the website, themessaroundpod.com. You can check out the merch. And you heard it here first. We are going to do a special Valentine's Day t-shirt drop starring the love of all of our lives. We designed this t-shirt ourselves. We're super excited. Of course, it's going to be a Ferguson shirt. It's going to be a limited drop. So make sure you go to themessaroundpod.com. If you put your email in there, we'll email you as soon as it comes out so you can be the first to grab it before it sells out. Follow us on Instagram at themessaroundpod. If you have a question or just want to leave us a voicemail, like I said, email us, themessaroundpod@gmail.com. Love y'all. Bye. That was The Mess Around, an iHeartMedia production.
Our executive producer is Joelle Monique. Our senior producer is Abu Zafar. Bei Wang provided engineering and editing services.
Additional production from Daniel Goodman, Wendy Heisler, and Kyle Chevron. Our theme song was written and composed by Ronald Jukebox Jackson.
Catch you next time.
Bye.